Hello and welcome back to the channel. In the previous video, we looked at classes and objects in depth. And in this video, we're going to be looking at inheritance. Inheritance is a form of software reuse in which a new class is created by absorbing an existing class's members. The existing class is called the superclass, and the new class is called the subclass. The subclass has behaviors of the superclass and can also add its own specific functionalities. We can have two types of superclass relations. The first is a direct superclass, which is the class that the subclass directly inherits. The second is an indirect superclass, which is any class that is above the direct superclass. So for example, let's say we have three classes: animal, mammal, and dog. Here, animal is going to be on top. Mammal is going to inherit from animal, and dog is going to inherit from mammal. So relative to the dog class, mammal is its direct superclass, and animal is its indirect superclass. When dealing with inheritance, there is one more access modifier we can see, which is the protected access modifier. The protected access modifier is between public and private. When we declare a superclass member as protected, it can be accessed by members of that superclass and by members of its subclass. One thing to note here is that we can override methods in the superclass in our subclass. For example, if we had a superclass animal that has a method called sound, which prints out this animal makes a sound, we can override this method in our dog subclass to print out bark instead. Here, if we want to access the sound method in our superclass animal from the subclass dog, we can use the keyword super followed by a dot and the name of the method we want to use. Now, to see the concept of inheritance, we're going to be creating two types of employees. The first is going to be a commission employee who is paid a percentage of their sales. The second is going to be a base salaried commission employee who is paid a percentage of their sales, the same as a commission employee, but they also have a base salary added on. So first, we're going to create the commission employee class. Since we won't be running this class directly, we're now going to tick public static void main, and we're going to press on finish. Our commission employee is going to have several instance variables. Since we want to access these instance variables from our subclass, we're going to use the new access modifier, which is protected. And we're going to have a string for first name. We're going to have our second instance variable, which is going to be for last name. Next, we're going to have a string for social security. We're also going to have one that is going to store the gross salary. And finally, since this is a commissioned employee, we're going to have a double instance variable for commission rate. Next, we're going to define a constructor. So it's going to have the same name as our class. And it's going to take in inputs. The first is going to be for the first name, and for the last name, and for the social security number, for the gross salary, and finally for the commission rate. And inside our constructor, we're going to initialize our instance variables. So we're going to have first name is equal to first, last name is equal to last, social security number is equal to SSN, gross salary is equal to gross, and finally commission rate is equal to CR. Once we've defined our constructor, we're going to define a series of getter and setter methods. If you're using Eclipse, you can use this shortcut to create getter and setter methods. So what you can do is go to source, and we're going to choose generate getters and setters, and you're going to choose the properties or the attributes that you want to create getters and setters for. In our case, we're going to create it for all attributes. So we're going to select all and we're going to click on generate. So as you can see, this is going to generate a set of getter and setter methods for each attribute. Next, we're going to define a public method that is going to calculate the earnings of this employee and return the value. So its return type is going to be double, and we're going to call it earnings. It's not going to take in any input, and it's simply going to return the commission rate multiplied by the gross salary. We've actually been writing gross salary instead of gross sales. So an easy way to replace this is going to be going to the search, and we're going to pick file, and we're going to put in the text that we want to replace, which in our case is gross salary. And for the scope, we're going to pick files opened in our editor, and we're going to press on replace. So this is going to find all the matches for gross salary, and we want to replace it with gross sales, and we can press on OK. Now back in our earnings method, we're going to return the commission rate multiplied by the gross sales. We can get the commission rate using its getter method. So we're going to have get commission rate, which we're going to multiply by the gross sales, which we can also get using its getter method. So we're going to have get gross sales. The G is actually small. And finally, we're going to define a toString method. So we're going to have public string toString, and we're going to return a string format. And the format is going to be %s, %s, space, %s followed by a new line, %s, %s, followed by another new line, %s, %.2f, followed by a new line, %s, %.2f. And for the first %s, we're going to substitute commission employee. For the second %s, we're going to substitute in the first name, which we can get using the getter method. So we're going to have get first name, and next we're going to have get last name. Next we're going to have social security number, and we're going to use the getter method for social security. So we're going to have get social security number. Then we're going to have the string gross sales, followed by get gross sales. And finally, we're going to have commission rate, and we're going to substitute in get commission rate. Again, the method for get gross sales uses a small g, so we're going to fix that, and we're going to end our statement. So this is going to be our super class, and we're going to have another class called base plus commission employees, and it's going to inherit from this class. So we're going to save this class, and we're going to create a new class, and we're going to call it base plus commission employee. And we won't be running this class directly, so we're not going to tick public static void main, and we're going to press on finish. So as we said, this class is going to inherit from the commission employee, and to inherit from another class, we're going to use the keyword extends. So in our class declaration, we're going to have extends, and we're going to put in the name of the superclass, which in our case is commission employee. Next, we're going to define an attribute that is specific to a base plus commission employee, which is going to be base salary. So we're going to have private double base salary. We don't need to define the other attributes of an employee. That is because we've already defined them in the commission employee. And when we inherit from that class, we get all the attributes. Next, we're going to define our constructor. So we're going to have public base plus commission employee. And as input, it's going to take in all the attributes that an employee is going to have. So it's going to take in first name, last name, social security number, and so on. So we're going to have string first, string last, string SSN, double sales, double CR, and finally specific to the base plus commission employee, it's going to have double base salary. So now we're currently getting an error, and if we hover over our constructor, we see that we have to explicitly invoke another constructor, and that constructor is the one inside our superclass. So to call the constructor in our superclass, we're going to use the keyword super, and we're going to pass in the different attributes. So what this statement is going to do is when we create an object using this class and we pass in the first name, last name, and so on, it's going to take those inputs and it's going to give it to the superclass constructor, and the superclass constructor is going to initialize the different attributes. Finally, for the base salary, we're going to have another statement since it's unique to the base plus commission employee. So we're going to have base salary is equal to salary. Next, we're going to define a getter and setter method for the base salary. Again, we can do that using the shortcut we saw previously. So we're going to go to source. We're going to go to generate getters and setters. And we're going to pick base salary. And we're going to click on generate. Next, we're going to override the earnings method inside the superclass. Inside the superclass, we calculated earnings by multiplying commission rate by the gross sales. But for the base plus commission employee, we need to add the base salary. So an overridden method is a method with the same name and the same parameter list and return type, but its implementation is different. So we're going to have the same public double earnings method. And inside we're going to change its implementation. So we're going to return, as we said, we need to add the base salary. So we're going to get the base salary using the getter method. So we're going to have get base salary. And we want to add the earnings that we calculated in the superclass. And to access that method, what we can do is have a plus. Then we're going to use the super keyword followed by a dot. Then we're going to call the earnings method. So what this is going to do is it's going to call the earnings method, which is going to multiply the commission rate by the gross sales. And to the result, we're going to add our base salary. Finally, we're going to define our toString method. So we're going to have public string toString. Now, since this method is the same as the one we have in our superclass, what we're doing here is going to be called overriding the method. So inside our method, we're going to have a return statement, and we're going to return a string format. And we're going to have %s followed by a new line, %s, %s, colon, %.2f. In the first %s, we're going to substitute the toString method that we had in our superclass. And to access that, as we did before, we're going to use the super keyword, and we're going to call the toString method. Next, we're going to add the attribute that we did not have in the superclass, which is the base salary. And we're going to get the base salary using the getter method. And we're going to end our statement. So this method is going to call the toString method in our superclass, which is going to print out the first name, last name, and so on. And at the end, we're going to add the base salary. Finally, to test these classes, we're going to create a new class. And we're going to call it commission employee test. And since we're going to be running this method, we're going to tick public static void main, and we're going to press on finish. First, we're going to create an employee of type commission employee. So we're going to have commission employee, and we're going to call it employee1. And we're going to set it to new commission employee, and we're going to give it different attributes. Next, we're going to define a base plus commission employee. So we're going to have base plus commission employee, and we're going to call it employee2. And we're going to set it equal to new base plus commission employee, and we're going to give it the same attributes as our commission employee, and we're going to add an additional base salary. Next, we're going to have different descriptions. So first, we're going to print out the employee's name. So we're going to have employee full name, and we're going to call the getter methods. So we're going to have, for the first employee, we're going to have employee1.get first name and employee1.get last name. Here we forgot to add the placeholder, so we're going to add %s followed by a space and another %s and a new line. So this is going to display the commission employee's full name. Next, we're going to call the employee1's toString method. To do that, we can simply print out the object employee1, since the toString method is a special method and it's called every time we try to print our object. Next, we're going to display the earnings of employee1. So we're going to have system.out.printf earnings of commission employee, followed by a %f, and we're going to substitute employee1 dot earnings. We're going to add an empty print statement for more readability, and next we're going to have our description for the second employee, or the base plus commission employee. So we're going to have system.out.printf, and we're going to have employee full name, followed by a %s space %s, followed by a new line character, and we're going to substitute employee2.get first name and employee2.get last name. Then we're going to call the toString method for employee2. Again, to do that, we simply print out the object. So we're going to have println, and we're going to pass employee2. And finally, we're going to print out the earnings of the base plus commission employee. So we're going to have system.out.printf earnings of base plus commission employee, and we're going to have a %f, and we're going to call employee2.earnings. Now we can save our file and run our code. First, we get the commission employee's full name. This is due to the getter methods. Next, we display the different information about this employee using the toString method. And finally, we display this employee's earnings. And for the next employee, we're going to have his full name, followed by a call to the toString method, which additionally prints out the base salary. And finally, we have the earnings of the base plus commission employee. Before we end this section, one thing you need to notice here is that when we were calling employee2.get first name and employee2.get last name, we were able to do this even though we did not define a get first name and a get last name method inside our base plus commission employee class, and that is due to the concept of inheritance. So that is it for this section. In the next video, we're going to be looking at polymorphism. Thank you for watching this video, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more programming content.